Aloha everybody and welcome to part 4 of Mega Man ZX Advent. We are now playing the Arctic Ice Floe. Can you hear me? It's me, Mikhail. It looks like you've stepped into some rough terrain. You should be able to cut a path through the chunks of ice, but the areas that allow access to the crash site are limited. Mega Man, you must find a way to break through. That's right, so because it's the Arctic Ice Floe, it's very icy, very slippery, and there's a lot of walls in this place that you actually can't wall jump because it's covered with a thick sheet of ice. So, also you gotta watch out for those ice bastards. You got these ice chunks that have an enemy attached to them, and when you come close to it, it flips around to shoot at you and stuff. But luckily, they're just at Buster level, so you can just shoot your Buster and you'll be fine. Luckily, we do have Buckfire here. Buckfire has fire arrows that he shoots everywhere, and these fire arrows can actually destroy a lot of the ice chunks in this level. He can also use his charge attack to break through the ice and go super high or go super low into the watery depths of this level. So I'm actually going to be spending most of the level playing as Buckfire, so you get acquainted with this guy's control scheme. You get acquainted with how this guy plays, you know. And what better way than with a mini-boss fight? So this thing pops out some tentacles that his arrows immediately destroy because they're weak to fire, and they just go away upon contact. And once the tentacles are gone, then this little orb will show up, and you want to keep shooting the orb with the arrows until it eventually dies. It does have other extra attacks that it will do if you let it linger for a little longer, but I get rid of the tentacles so quickly that he doesn't really have a chance to do anything extra. So, easy mini-boss if you're using Buckfire, and because he's the first Pseudoroid you're going to get, and you have to have Buckfire in order to reach this level, you'll be pretty fine here, pretty fine. Hey look, a little girl! It's cold! I should have dressed warmer! Are you a hunter too? My name is Mary. Nice to meet you. Oh, what am I going to do? I caught a moth queen when it got away. Won't someone catch it for me? Wink. Alright, I'll get your goddamn moth queen. Also, am I crazy or is that little girl holding a Servbot doll? The colors are very similar. My moth queen! You caught it for me! You are a hunter! Oh, thank you! I'm so glad you came to my aid. It isn't much, but I want you to have this. 100 energy crystals. Right on. I can use that for some of my side quests later. They say moth queens are popular with celebrities because they're so beautiful. I'm gonna sell these beauties to earn enough money to become a hunter someday. Right on, little girl. Right on. So in human form, like I said before, you can duck and you can crawl in very tight spaces that regular Model A can't crawl into. But sometimes there are areas that even human Ash can't quite reach because... a gelatinous cube. It just reforms after you shoot it. I don't know what to do. We won't be able to go in there for a very long time. That's one of the last Pseudoroids we get in the game, actually, but either way. Buckfire has the ability to wall jump, but he doesn't do the standard wall jump that the Biometal characters do. He does a big lunge to the other side, and he can't just, like, repeatedly jump up the same wall. So it's like a traditional video games wall jump, where you go from one wall to the other wall to the other wall, and back and forth, and so on. Anyway, this is why I fought Rosebark first, so I could climb these pipes and show off his giant pink cock! Holy shit, look at that man's pink cock! I didn't point it out in the last video because I was too busy explaining how he played, but my god, he has a giant pink cock! It's fantastic. Anyway, we use Rosebark to climb these pipes so that we can get to this sub-tank, and that's a useful item in the Mega Man franchise, as I'm sure you know. If you need a refresher, a sub-tank is something that stores energy that you pick up. Like if you have a full health bar and you pick up more health, it goes into the sub-tank, and anytime you're in a tight pinch, anytime you're feeling kinda low in health, you feel like you're about to die, you can use the sub-tank to refill your health. And it actually carries 30 units of energy, which is not what your health bar is at this very moment. Like, until I get all the other life up upgrades, I don't have 30 units of health. So a sub-tank could actually be used like twice, and sometimes 3 times if you're using like no life ups at all, you know? So a sub-tank is very helpful. It's very helpful indeed. It can refill your health many times, and there are many more sub-tanks in this game for me to collect, so Mega Man ZX has always been a game that it's challenging, yes, but there's lots of workarounds to make it a lot easier. Life ups to make you healthier, you know, special weaknesses for bosses, sub-tanks to refill your health. I don't really use sub-tanks too much in ZX1 or ZX Advent, like the playthroughs, but casual players who have trouble with this stuff can. And because there are so many sub-tanks and so many life ups to increase your health and whatnot, you know, don't be intimidated by this game. It's not as hard as it looks. And if you don't think the game looks hard at all, well then, screw you. Also, yes, I called the last level the Tower of Vendor, but it's actually the Tower of Verdure. It's actually a terminology for gardening. It shows luscious green. It shows freshness in plants, verdure. And, I thought it was Vendor for some reason. I hadn't looked at the name in a long time. I'm sorry. I'm the great Clement. I'm not the perfect Clement. Sometimes I make mistakes. I can't help it. But either way, boss time.
Prometheus said he found someone interesting. I came to see who it was. Thetis? She's nothing more than a kid like you. Hey, you're not that much older than me.
What is it with you people?
Mega Merge! Mega Merge!
Didn't Prometheus tell you that you'd meet other Mega Men? My name is Thetis, the Ice Mega Man, chosen one for Model L.
An Atlas, the Flame Mega Man, chosen one for Model F.
How is it that an unenlightened hunter who has no ideals is a Mega Man?
What is going on with all these weirdos? I don't need ideals. I have my pride. I can't stand people like you, who are always looking down on others.
Just as I expected, but I don't feel like fighting right now. We've got other things to do.
I've got no time for some kid who became a Mega Man by accident. You look like you could use a nice cold dip.
Welcome to my Sub-Zero world, where even time freezes. You've got some nerve calling yourself a Mega Man, Plebeian. You're nothing more than a lowlife commoner. I, Chronoforce, will take that biometal off your hands.
I'm gonna make sure you're sleeping with the fishes. Okay, you're probably already sleeping with the fishes, but I digress. Weaknesses in Mega Man ZX Advent are not as useful as they were in the first ZX game, because this is an Ice-type boss, and I'm shooting fire on him, and you can actually see flames pop off his character model, so you can tell it's his weakness, but it doesn't feel that much more effective, and that's really all I have at my disposal. It's pretty much just as useful as a Mega Buster or a homing shot, so I don't really feel the need to use Buckfire for this fight. I'm just going to keep using Model A because, you know, Model A can dash, Model A can do all the specific movement that I need, whereas Buckfire's a little big, he's a little floaty. And, yeah, I'm not even talking about this guy's attacks. This move, he shoots a whole bunch of icicles in a certain order. If they get close to you, they'll actually explode next to you. And then he reverses time, and the arrows go back the way they came, and so you have to remember where they went and what your movement was prior to that, so that you can re-dodge everything. His top is actually invulnerable to Mega Buster shots, so you actually have to shoot the underside of this guy, and he sends a whole bunch of fish. He speeds up time, which doesn't really... Actually, he slows down time, I guess, but the only thing that really feels affected is that he moves faster. He moves faster with every one of his attacks, and it doesn't really affect you.
You're nothing more than a pawn in the palm of his hand. All you can hope to do is just flail about in the little time you have left.
But, you know, he likes to send a whole bunch of fish at you. He likes to burrow underground, and homing shots are great because it always locks onto his underbelly no matter what, if you're having trouble shooting him with the Mega Buster, because it keeps hitting the top of him and stuff. But, we can beat him.
Do you get the feeling that those two back there are just puppets? He is probably pulling the strings behind the scenes. Shoot! Who do they think they are? Taking advantage of our ignorance. Now I want to go all the way and win this game even more!
Those jerks, don't they know ignorance is bliss? Oh, Model A. But either way, we defeated Chronoforce. That means we've got his power. So that means we can turn into him and use some of his abilities that he used in the boss fight. When you're in water, you can go up, down, left, right. You can swim, you can dash. And, like I said, his ceiling is... or the top of him... ceiling. The top of him is, like, protected. It's armor, right? So spikes won't hurt you if they drop on you. Enemies can't attack you from the top. But the best ability of Chronoforce, and this actually really helps with boss fights later in this game, he has the ability to slow down time. In the boss fight, it made him move faster, but for us, it makes everything else move slower, and this affects everything. It affects the spikes that fall from the ceiling here, it affects boss fights, and this can be actually used in the final boss fight too. Even the final boss will be so much slower for a short period of time if you activate Time Stop with Chronoforce. However, Chronoforce is still situational as a Pseudoroid because he can't go anywhere unless he's in water. If he's on the ground, he's just going to be staying there. He's not going to be moving anywhere. But he can still charge up and use Time Stop, and it's damn useful for bosses. I do say so myself. If I do say so myself. But, yeah. So now that we have Buckfire's power, Rospark's power, and Chronoforce's power, that means we now have fire, electricity, and ice, which means we can now get down to the crashed airship by deactivating these switches. So here's an ice platform, or an ice capsule. You shoot it with fire, and it's deactivated. Booyah! In order to take out the fire capsule, you go up here with these pipes, you charge up a hit, boom! Now the fire capsule's broken. And just further down the pathway is a body of water. Again, you shoot your icicles at the electric panel. And that's all she wrote. That's all she wrote, ladies and gentlemen. Boom! Elemental switches deactivated. Safety locks disengaged. So with the elemental switches turned off, we can now proceed to the oil field and finally go to the crashed airship that we wanted to go to back in Part 2. Stay tuned for Part 5, ladies and gentlemen. We might meet a biometal.